What's up, folks? It has been a while since we've done one of these, but we got the new headset, which is the last video that came out, if you didn't see that one. Got a new headset. Had headset issues with the old one, so that kind of catches you up. We are here on round. I honestly don't fucking remember it all. We are here in Hyperdrive, second half of the season. Obviously, the round number will be in the video. Here at the Netherlands, we join in Q3, heading out for my final run. I did an okay run on my first lap. It netted us P6 out of the 10 drivers. And going into this, I felt good about the race, but I didn't feel as good about qualifying because the other drivers, I feel like, figured something out that I didn't in terms of having a qualifying specific setup, that they were putting in just blistering times in qualifying that I wasn't able to match. But as you'll see then in the race, we're just fine. So I've always been better at race than qualifying, specifically when it comes to having race setups versus qualifying setups. I've never really had specific qualifying setups. So we still got to put in a good lap, do as best we can, and continue our fight working towards our goal, or two goals of finishing P2 in the championship, which P1's kind of out of reach at this point. Kieran has all but wrapped that up. He has a huge lead. And making a run for the Constructors' Championship is still doable. We're not too far back. We're fighting with Red Bull for second place.
Around the hairpin.
Kieran basically single-handedly making Alfa Romeo the leader right now. But with me and Lynx both consistently getting decent finishes, we are clawing that lead away. And I think we really do have a shot to be able to take the Constructors' Championship. So far, so clean on this lap. Our final run, our final chance here in qualifying, dancing right on the limit, almost clipped the curb there. If you clip the curb there, it can be absolute death. Put in a lot of practice for this race because I knew this is where my flaw was, qualifying. I took the inside of that curb there. I should have just broke a little bit later or carried a little bit more speed. I didn't want to cut the inside of that corner that much, so we lost a tiny bit of time there, maybe a tenth. But the rest of this lap has been really good so far. It definitely an improvement over my previous lap. Again, maybe a little bit too much curve on the inside. I probably lost about a tenth and a half to 2 tenths compared to if I would have took those corners a little bit better. But other than that, it's been a pretty good lap, all things considered. We're about to come across the line. We'll see what we improve to. The lap's definitely an improvement, and we don't go anywhere. We stay in P6. But it was an improvement. Nonetheless, we will be heading into the race running the same strategy that we always been running. We're over halfway through this game's lifespan in terms of the league racing part of it. And every single race so far has just been hards to mediums, which is kind of disappointing. You want to see some more variety and strategies, but at the same time, when you have a game with moving parts, you know, the cars perform differently, the tires perform differently, the temperatures react differently, blah, 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 blah. It's really hard as a developer to kind of anticipate what will be the meta of your game. So, like, I don't think the game is any bit worse because hards to mediums is the strat for every track. It's just kind of how things played out this year, you know. It kind of reminds me back to 2019 where we're basically qualifying on mediums instead of softs. It was pretty much the go-to on 3/4 of the track. You know, I don't think that was a flaw in the game. It was just how the meta played out that year. So, and I kind of think how the metas kind of develop into different F1 games throughout the year kind of makes it more interesting because what's a go-to this year probably won't be a go-to next year. Here we're running hards to mediums every race. I'm sure that won't be exactly what we see next year, and there'll be some different kind of gimmick that we do, which, like I said, some people see it as a flaw. I just see it as another difference between each year's game. But nonetheless, I'm going to shut up. We'll be starting P7 as we got beat by another driver on the final laps. And we will head to the race itself. As the grid forms up, just two things to touch on real quick regarding the last video. I didn't point out the new bed, which is freshly torn apart because Phoebe wanted a cat nap. She loves tearing apart the bed. But yeah, we got a queen-size bed now. We upgraded, folks, so that's nice. Also, the headset, I was talking about how great the quality was in the last video. Still stand by it, but I adjusted the location of my mic a little bit. I feel like I was a little too hot on the mic. So, yeah, we get a great jump here off the line. Look at this amazing grid start. We're going to fly all the way up to 4th place. And now side by side for 3rd place. And we have the inside. We're going to give the space on the inside to Kieran. He's going to get a better exit here probably. He has the better line in the corner. But yeah, P4 right off the rip from P7, gaining 3 positions going into turn 1, let alone on a track that has a really short run into turn 1 like this. That was such a wild grid start. A mistake ahead by the Williams, which is huge because that's one of the people I'm fighting with, both Williams for P2 in the Drivers' Championship. And this has been an amazing start for us. All the way up immediately into P3, and one of our rivals making a mistake. So I couldn't have asked for a better start. And I got a gap behind. You know, everything is going perfectly right now.
Did you see that
and
fucking
we will
launch?
see how our race pace is as the first few laps tick on, and we get ourselves into a little bit of a rhythm. Not much happens in the first couple laps. Kieran breaking away a little bit. He's a little bit quicker. But our pace is great, but we got cars coming behind on the medium tire. We're going to go a little bit defensive. He's going to fly up the inside. We're going to try to defend a little bit, see if he makes a mistake. Nails his braking point, and he's going to take the position. But that's a medium runner, so I'm not very worried about that. I'm actually hoping if I can stick in his DRS, this is advantage us. I don't want to go into that whole strategy talk of why that's an advantage for me in the long term. I've talked about it every race. Like I always say, the mediums, this is the point of race they need to be breaking away from us. So every time we get the DRS off of them when they need to be breaking away from us is absolutely massive in the long term of the race. But he seems to be pulling away rather quickly, so we might only be able to get DRS on one lap. But hey, that's still massive for us. And maybe he can catch up with being on a softer compounded tire all the way up to Kieran. Maybe hold him up and give us a little bit of a chance against him. You know, maybe I'm huffing a little bit of hopium on that one to challenge Kieran on this track, as he showed a lot of pace on it in qualifying. But hey, you know me, I'm always fighting for every position and I never give up. We're going to come up to the main straight here. We're going to see if we got the DRS. It looks like we are out. By eye line, it looks like we're out of the DRS. And yes, we are out of the DRS. The mediums are much quicker in this stage of the race. Not much I can do to defend against these guys. I'm going to try my best to defend a little bit. Because like I said, every lap that they're not breaking away from me is huge for me in the long term. But yeah, with the softer tire, there isn't much I can do about it at the moment. But it isn't too bad for us right now. Like I said, we still are looking good in the long term. And I feel like our race pace is pretty decent, all things considered. Not much happened up to about lap 8. I was able to keep the DRS of the Haas after he overtook us for a couple laps, which helps. That kind of group is all kind of Constantine together up ahead. We're not too far behind, but the Aston Martin that had passed us has just spun on the last corner, so that's a position for us and a medium runner that I no longer have to worry about. You can see, I believe that is Troy, if I remember correctly, in the Mercedes behind us catching up. I believe he also started on the medium tire. But yeah, we're still looking good, still holding our position, holding a decent pace, holding P4 on the hard tire. Things are looking really good for us so far. Advancing to lap 10, Jeff is trying to give me a strategy recommendation, but that doesn't matter because the safety car has now come out. And this was an awful time for a safety car. Because we are in a window where, and this is the one thing that can screw over your race when you start on a harder compounded tire. If you only get one safety car and you get that safety car in a window where you can't go to the softer tire towards the end, but they can go to their harder tire to the end. So all these medium runners just get absolutely handed the race as they can now pit to the hard tire and go to the end of the race.
Kieran got 5 seconds for speed.
And we can't pit. Everyone else did pit. They're going to try to make the mediums go all the way to the end. But according to my research I had going into this of how long the tires can go, I did not think the mediums can make it to the end. So either way, we're kind of in a checkmate situation because if the tires can go to the end, then we're fucked by everyone that did just pit.
For now.
And if the tires can't go to the end, I mean, we're still fucked by the guys that they already made their pit stop. So, yeah, it's just a really shitty situation. And it seems like, well, at the beginning of the season, we had a lot of good luck go our way when we didn't have that much pace. But now that we have pace, now we have none of the luck, and we're just getting. It reminds me of last season where I was just getting, fucked over in every race. So unless if there is another safety car, this has totally trashed our race at no fault of our own, which is, I say it again, very frustrating. But I still have a lot of hope in this race. I know I have good race pace. There's still a lot of this race left to go.
Tires behind,
And yeah, anything can happen. All we need is one safety car in a window where everyone would pit again. And we're right back in this thing. Safety car due to come in this lap. I am not going to start on cold tires on the banked oval. And let's see how I tricked them on the restart. It is actually against the rules for them to be side by side with me, so I give him a little pinch there. And as soon as I know that he has to let off from getting pinched, take advantage of his mistake of sitting alongside me, and I hit the gas at that moment. That was well played restart, and we keep the position. Always keep the tire temperatures up at the beginning of a restart so you know when your tires are back into that optimal temperature and you can push maximum again. Because, as much as you want to push when you got guys right behind you, the last thing you want to do is make a mistake on these cold tires and throw away everything. And yeah, we're in a window where honestly we have to hope for another safety car to bring us back in this race, or else, our race is kind of ruined, which is really inconvenient. We got everyone behind us on fresh, softer tires. And yeah, things are not looking great for us at the moment. Advancing to the end of the next lap, I got people all over my butt. I got Kieran all over me on the fresher tires. Nothing I can do about this one. He's on fresh mediums compared to half-worn hards. We're going to try to hold this because this is a battle for the lead after all, but yeah, just way too much grip on those tires. Nothing we can do about that one at all. And to lap 17, we now got one of our rivals in the Williams overtaking us. He's on fresh hards to our old hards. And yeah, this is just that terrible part where there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just getting passed one by one. It's a pretty miserable moment of the race, to be honest. And to lap 20, we are still in third, but it is finally time for us to pit onto our set of mediums. This is our one planned pit stop for the day. Like I said, those other drivers that started on hards, they're trying to take those mediums all away from that safety car to the end of the race, which I don't think will make it. So hopefully we are correct with our data we gathered before the race. But even if we are correct, like I said, if there isn't another safety car, then the people that started on mediums just got absolutely handed this race. So at this point, I'm just doing the best I can, hoping we get good luck with the safety car. But then even again, if we have another safety car, does it bring us back into the race? Yes, but it brings us back into the race still behind the whole pack. So it's one of those things, it doesn't matter what strategy you run, there's always going to be a pocket of laps in the race somewhere that if a safety car comes out there, it just absolutely fucks you. And it's just frustrating how often that happens to us. It's kind of wild, if you keep track of every driver in the league and how often it happens to them, it's like our numbers of when it happens to us just blows everyone else's numbers out, and it's not even close. Like, we might actually have more of those races happen to us than the rest of the league combined in the last 2 seasons. It's kind of, looking back on it, I just gotta kind of laugh. But in the moment, I can tell you I was definitely not laughing. A couple laps later, we have the fresh mediums. We set fastest lap of the race. We are going to absolutely go for it on this Haas, who is on the hards. He turned in very early. I wasn't quite expecting that, but we still make the clean move nonetheless. Up into P11. Still at least points we can scrape away in this one, but when we were looking on easily for a podium at least, it's still a little consolation for us at this point. A couple laps later, we would catch up to this Ferrari that was struggling on old hards. He was just staying out, hoping that he would get a safety car. He stayed out like I did. So unfortunate situation for him. He politely just lets us go because he knows that his race, like I said, is just hoping for a safety car at this point. Advancing all the way to lap 26 now, still no safety car to save us. But I believe we got a car ahead that did go into the pits. So that will take us up into P9. That was, I think, the last of the remaining drivers that was holding out for a safety car. Finally had to pit off of his hard tires. And behind me, I got Radders in the Williams pumping in fastest laps. And that's one of the guys I really wanted to beat in this race. He was the Williams that made the mistake on lap 1. He's coming up hot behind us on fresher tires. So hopefully we can hold him off so we can at least get a couple points on him, hunting for P2 in the championship. And to lap 32, we're catching up to another car ahead, but he's going to dive into the pits, so that's another position for us. And now we are up into P8. Still looking pretty grim, but, you know, chipping away a position here and there. Still does feel good. The Williams is rapidly catching us behind, so maybe we'll be able to hold him off for P8. And yeah, at this moment, I can hear on the stream my engineers telling me, you know, they are struggling on these tires. These tires are getting very warm. And I didn't think that these tires would make it to the end, the mediums that they went on at that safety car. So I'm hoping that they can get some punctures and we can have some real drama happen here at the end of the race. And we can still get the great finish that I feel like we really deserve today. So yeah, at this moment I'm just hoping and praying. It looks like the safety car isn't going to come for us, and at this point it'll be too late with how far back we are in the field to get back up to podium positions. So all that we can do in this moment is pray for punctures. You can see we're catching up to a couple cars behind. These tires are quick. We did have great pace, but yeah, them pitting under safety car compared to us under green is just,
I'm sure that it's not easy to drive.
Heading into now, about to start the last lap. We are rapidly approaching the Ferrari ahead of us. We are gaining. Can we get a couple more positions before the end of this race? I feel like those tires of theirs are ready to pop at any instant. And you can see we are gaining rapidly on that Ferrari, and he doesn't have any ERS left. Well, we're basically down to no ERS, as well as I had to use it to stay ahead of the Williams behind me. But his tires started to wear out just enough that couldn't overtake us. Now we are worrying about the Ferrari ahead of us. Can we get one more position and at least get up to P7 in this race? And will there be punctures ahead of us? Going through the double right-hander ahead, we see we have a caution. I saw a piece of tire on the track. We have a car off. We have another car slow ahead. The Ferrari goes slow around the corner. It looks like he just got a puncture, and it's happening. The punctures are happening now on the last half of the last lap. But I still have the Williams right up my butt, so I have to hold him off as well. I got cautions ahead. There might have been another puncture ahead. I can't really tell. We got a slow Alpine ahead. He's going to have to pull off the track. Was he a lap car? No, he wasn't. That's another puncture. And we're going to get up to P5 on the last lap. Jordy Blockstall wins the race, which sucks for us because we're fighting with him for P2 in the championship. We're going to hold off Bradders behind and cross the line for P5 with a wild last lap where I think 4 or 5 drivers got punctured. And, it turns out we made the right call to not pit, because of those guys being on wheel and tire wear being slightly worse on pad, we easily would have got our puncture at the beginning of the last lap or even halfway through the next to last lap. So it does kind of suck that it turned out we were in a checkmate situation. Either we don't pit and we're in the situation we are right now where we've lost all of our positions having to pit under green, or we pit on the mediums and we don't get any points at all. So it's another one of those races where I feel like I raced really well, but we just got fucked with luck, which really sucks. But at the end of the day, control what you can control.
AC got
which
a puncture. Kieran's tires look like they made
it's
it
easy
all the
to
way
tell
the
yourself, but in the heat of the moment, when you put on all that work just to
like
again get the shit end of the luck, like I can't, no words I can say can do justice how irritating it is just seeing that week after week it's always just us. And it's so fucking irritating. Especially last season. I wish I would have made the videos last season so you guys could have just saw the absolute comedy of 6 times on my outlap the safety car coming out, you know, just the wild shit I had to deal with, or getting hit in pit lanes by my teammate, you know, just the most wild shit. But yeah, this race kind of sucked because, you know, we were looking good for a second or a first. I mean, yeah, second or third, I'm sorry. Looking good for a podium. We were looking good to put a gap on our rivals in the Williams for P2 in the championship. And then at no fault of our own, nope. Not only do we not get a podium, but we lose about 15 points worth of advantage to them. So hopefully in the next race we can play just as well. Maybe a little bit more luck on our side. Until then, we'll see you.